name's Eric. Hope you're talking to famous people. And I want to recommend to you and to all of us, really, to everybody in the world, I want to recommend that we celebrate the moments of our lives with International Foods Coffee. What do you think? Are you down? What are we looking for? Oh, right. Never mind. Hold on. You're fine. It's fine. Just gonna bring up the old live streamaroo here and the other. Yeah. You know what's frustrating is I looked at this Guardian article about hypernormalization, which is a term that would be better expressed as global dread. Hypernormalization is a term that people want to politicize. They're saying that, for example, in this Guardian article, basically that Trump is indicative of the final, or the eventuality that's necessarily going to be the case regarding ongoing trend having to do with like billionaires taking over or something, which is just obviously garbage. Yeah, that's not correct. Trump is Trump, and not he's the exact opposite of the continuation of a trend or the expression of progression towards anything at all, right? He's an anomalous individual person who has a typical kind of expression of understanding for his personality type, which is ESFP. And he has a lot of faith in his own subjectivities, and he has a lot of faith in his weak but objective intuition. And accordingly, he doesn't represent anything like he doesn't represent anything except two things maybe. One, a distaste with the sort of bureaucratic intuition free carryings on. Yeah, I know. I watched the game. It was very exciting when we finally won that game, because I tell you, yesterday was the most brutal loss of the baseball season so far for me. It was we played really well. We had a 6-5 lead in the ninth inning. Mason Miller gave up a solo shot that let them tie it up and pushed it to extra innings. The Phillies won in extras yesterday. But today's win was great. And we got it with half of our normal lineup not playing. Kurtz took the day off because he pulled up a little gimpy running into third base last night. Shea Langoliers had the day off. We had this guy whose name is MacGyver, not spelled like MacGyver the show, but that's how it's pronounced. He's our new backup catcher. He was catching. We had our new center fielder, whose name is hold on, I'll remember in a second. His first name is Denzel Clark. That's his name. Denzel Clark. And then we've got this Davidson guy, and he was playing for Kurtz at first base. He's another new player who got his first action as a pinch runner in last night's game and was thrown out of the plate. We had a starting pitcher who wasn't on the opening day roster, Gunnar Hoagland, who's proved himself to be quite a capable pitcher. I've been very pleased with his performance. Today he gave up 4 runs, but it's against a tough Phillies team that had won 9 straight. Hi, Acacia. How you doing? I hope you're doing swell, well, and not in hell. That's what I hope for you. I think I'm going to start something in the microwave to eat. I haven't eaten anything today. I have had a decent amount of grapefruit juice, but that doesn't really qualify as food. You're not currently in hell. Wonderful news, Acacia. Wonderful news. I'm so pleased for you because I had heard that Satan had sent some demons out to get you. Come on down to hell, he said. But I guess either they couldn't find you or they took no for an answer. I'm pretty swell. I'm a little tired, a little tore up because it's a sleepy week, But doing pretty good. I was doing fine till I read this article that looked interesting, and of course they had to politicize it. I'm curious about this phenomenon that I call global dread, but that there's already a term for called hypernormalization. And the idea of it is that, our institutions and such are breaking down or are unable to keep pace really with the changing technologies. But people, in other words, people feel as though that something's happening that should be supplanting their normal day-to-day life, but they carry on as usual because they don't know what else to do. But people, especially like leftists, I think, really like to politicize this idea. It's a very real idea, but it's not an idea that's born of like excess conservatism. Trump does not represent a pattern of increasingly autocratic presidents that finally ended up where he is. That's just not how it's played out at all. Instead, Trump represents a failure of our institutions to provide us decent candidates, right? And that's scary because if we can't find people better than the candidates we had to choose from last election to run the country, then we're, assuredly fucked. It would seem. But then again, things carry on as usual because there's inertia to systems that work. And most systems that need to work are systems that don't engage government. They engage different private parties with one another in reliable, safe ways. So it does frustrate me when, like, I mean, that makes at least two of us. I would say I'm ashamed of our last several presidents. And more importantly, though, than being ashamed of them, I am distressed at the failure of the country to execute a free and civil society successfully. In other words, you can't have a citizen democracy without competent citizens running for office and having a real chance. But unfortunately, I think that there's very little market for a good leader. There's a lot of market for an extreme partisan of some sort. I don't even think Trump qualifies as such, though. Kamala Harris certainly qualifies as such because she she went all in on the tax, like let's increase taxes, just insanity, right? But Trump is just kind of like this reckless loose cannon of mishmash of different thoughts that he happens to like. That blonde is a raccoon dog. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about Trump? A raccoon dog? That sentence, if it means something to you, it means something to you, but it doesn't really mean anything at all to me. I'm sorry. That blonde is a raccoon dog. Well, is the front half of them raccoon or is the front half of them dog? Oh, raccoon dog is a compliment to you? Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know what a raccoon dog is, except presumably it's a more obedient raccoon or a dog that's more capable of opening cabinets.
Wait, is this real?
Hmm?
Is this really a raccoon dog?
Not that I did, not in the real world. Half raccoon, half dogs, but I like to imagine that there is.
Oh.
When a raccoon and a dog love each other very much, sometimes they make love, and that results in a raccoon dog. Mexicans and raccoon dogs are different. Zipton. You've gotten a couple of different things confused there. Mexicans are those things that Trump wants to keep out. Raccoon dogs are the abomination that results from raccoon dog love. Big difference. The one thing they have in common is both Mexicans and raccoon dogs love piñatas. Other than that, there's basically no commonalities. Acacia, you can't be a raccoon dog. You're already a Mexican. You can only be one of those two things. You have to check more things about yourself than whether or not you like piñatas to determine what you are. Yes, you love piñatas, obviously. That doesn't make you a raccoon dog.
Oh, obviously.
That just makes you a regular Mexican. Yeah, well, this segment has been brought to you by Pepe's Piping Hot Piñatas, where your piñata is filled with piping hot fun. So get yours today for an exciting, fun time that may result in severe burns. You wanted to do a piñata at my house? Maybe you could fill it with little rocks and knock it out on top of my driveway. You're back. Slap nuts. Slap nuts. That makes me nuts, I guess. I know, it was Rachel and Ruben too. You guys like to shoot rocks all over the driveway. A dog with a raccoon pattern? You mean like an attack pattern? Like it's a dog that attacks like a raccoon? That's fine, Acacia. I've long since swept up those rocks. It now exists only as a as a humorous reference. So anyway, you know how it is. Things are happening, things are fine. Everybody wants to know why. Mama. I got a couple of trashes to take out to the trash, but mostly I've got the trash up to the street already. Because now that we started using our trash compactor, it's been 2 weeks since the last trash pickup. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. We get trash every other week instead of every week now. I have only 2 of my 4 trash cans filled with trash. Why? Because all the trash inside of the trash cans has been compacted. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's why they call it the blues. Masked eyes, striped tail. That's a raccoon, Acacia. Okay? That's what raccoons look like. It's not a dog. We have to have one definitive trait that determines whether something's a raccoon. Exactly one. So we're going with striped tail. Hi, kitty. Yes, I hear you meowing, but you can't come in. What? What do you want? You want to meow at me? You want to sit by my foot? Well, I do have a very handsome foot. What do you want? You want me to watch you eat or something? Trouble. You may make love like a woman, but you meow like a little girl. I see, on my foot.
You know what I could do?
You want to pet him?
Yeah.
You might have to get dangerously close to my foot if you do that.
Oh, so you're saying it's a dangerous situation?
No, I'm saying my feet stink.
Oh. I don't care about your feet. How do your feet stink?
Yeah, these tatami slippers, if you don't wear them ever with the old Socceroos, then you're going to experience growing feet stink.
I see.
I will anyway. You probably wouldn't, but you've got dainty, rose-smelling woman feet.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure mine would stink too.
Stink like roses. Oh, trouble. You're such a big baby. Yes, you are such a big baby. Stanky roses. Stanky Rose is a good name for a old west outlaw lady. No, I've never made love to feet before. Why would one? They're perfectly good at holes other places. Well, I'm not doing so well on this $11 poker tournament I entered. No, WHOLES. Acacia, holes. The problem with a foot is not a single whole thing. I like to make love to the top of Rachel's head. That's just one whole thing. Feet have never made love to me before either. And nor have I loved to make feet. case that was your next question. Yeah, if you're ice hole, exactly. I tend to go for elbows a lot, After the foreplay's over, that's when I start humping Rachel's elbows. The pointy part. Just it's, yeah, it's bruising, but she's got really sexy elbows.
Yes, mommy's coming for you.
The weenus, of course. She's got a gorgeous
Yes.
weenus.
See, he likes pets sometimes.
Or he has mixed feelings about them.
Yeah, he does have mixed feelings about them.
Oh no, Sean. That's cheating. The inside of the elbow, no, it's cheating. You gotta be the outside of the elbow. Just this point right here. Or just this spot of the chin. Just you gotta earn it. The thing about feet is you can't get them pregnant. Well, have you ever tried?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, feet are for walking, not for sex. They're for walking, for standing, for kicking balls, not the sexual kind. In a little while, I'm going to make myself a frozen thing to eat. I mean, it won't be frozen when I eat it, but it'll be frozen before I put it in the microwave. Let's see, what shall we have? I'd go for a Swanson pie. That sounds like a taste temptation that delights all the world. Wouldn't you say? So, to cook, yeah, well, butts are for pooping. Exactly. Hello? Yeah, butts are for pooping. That's why you don't put your penis in them. Okay, so just keep that in mind and you won't have to find yourself in the wrong hole any longer. Now, for those of you who don't know, Wrong Hole is, of course, the name of my boutique restaurant that serves nothing but the anuses of various creatures. I'm doing fine, thank you for asking, Jonathan Carpenter. The owner of the butt chooses what it's for. Well, that's true, Namyak88. I mean, they can utilize their butt for whatever they wish, but I'm not talking about whether or not you should want to have something put in your butt. I'm talking about whether you should want to put something in your butt. In that instance, in somebody else's butt, the answer is no, because then you get poo on your penis. Nobody wants that. For those who don't know, there's poo inside of butts. I guess if you don't mind getting poo on your penis, then you go and put it wherever you want. But
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little more sane than that. You're about to get high? Congratulations, Jonathan Carpenter. Good for you.
I want to get high.
In which fashion?
Marijuana.
Well, let's try to smoke some marijuana then.
Okay.
You like me to roll a joint?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll roll a couple joints. And let's see if we can see the dawning of a new day. So the Athletics won today, Rachel.
I saw your post.
Yes. They came back. Lawrence Butler hit a huge meow. Yeah, Acacia. You need to stop with that lying. Around here, nothing is interpreted metaphorically, okay? If you say it's raining cats and dogs, it better be raining cats and dogs. Otherwise, you're lying. There are only two kinds of statements that we allow around here, and those are factual statements and lies. We don't allow lies, but that's how the only kind of distinctions. You can even choose to laugh until your buttocks are fully removed from your person. Well, you could even up your game and go Katy Perry style and dance until you die. Is butt for boofing or admiring? My butt seems to think it's for sneaking out above the top of my pants. Thanks a lot, high hip syndrome. You know, that's why I always use rotolafol, rotolaflow, which is rolling on the floor laughing. That way, if somebody accuses me of lying, I can just start rolling on the floor, and then that'd be fine. All of a sudden, I'm telling the truth. Lull. It used to be that lull meant a pause in an activity. There's been a lull in the action, you know, as its main usage. I would say now its main usage is lull. LOL. Into your ass, to be more accurate. What are we doing into my ass? If you aggregate a certain member of the Foreman family, you can get a foot delivered directly into your ass. Yeah, well, sometimes there are some people in the world who need a kick in the butt, and some who need a pat on the back. Still others, apparently, need a penis in the butt. But I am not among them. Hey, 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 what's that you're putting in my butt? Oh, just my penis. No, 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 no. You get that out of there right now. But I thought you loved my butt. Eric's lulls have lulled. Exactly, yeah. There's a lull in the lulls. So we're just chilling this evening. It's conceivable that maybe I would get one thing accomplished. Time for a. What does that say? Let me make these bigger. These words. Lullaby? Is that a lullaby? Oh, I see. It's a lullaby. I understand now, Sean. I finally understand. I finally see the light.
Oh, lullaby.
A lullaby is a hilarious song designed to help you go to sleep. It's pretty hard to come up with one of those. I wonder what would happen if, when you were sleeping every night, you listened to subliminal jokes underneath like wave sound. Would you wake up in the morning feeling more funny?
That's a great question.
Good night, old guy. Felipe Cavalcante. Good night to you as well. Are you going to bed? Is that why you're saying good night? Is it bedtime? Can I see that? Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. I can smoke bong rips. I don't know. I just felt like smoking some of that joint. You just smoke yourself. How many boofers does it take to change a light bulb? What's the punchline to that? I don't know. So my chicken pie is done. And in a moment, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get it from the microwave. I kind of like the fact that the current microwave that we have does not remind you that it's done. I don't want your reminders.
I still can't figure out how to do it without the, instant.
Oh, you don't know how to do the time cook?
No.
I have to have my glasses in order to do that, I think. All right, well, regardless, let's go get my chicken pot pie. Say bye-bye, chicken pot pie. Oh, I'm black. Not today, but I've been black many times before. Today I'm a Spaniard. So I guess you just put the time in, but I don't know how you'd program in like 4.5 minutes. I'm not sure if it has that ability to do that. Express cook. Oh, it does have a plus 30 seconds on it. I didn't know the start button was also a plus 30 seconds. So that's why you don't need to have the program. You can program it if it's over 5 minutes. 6 minutes. And hit the plus 30. Yeah. So you don't, there's no programming in it unless you're over 6 minutes. Rachel.
What?
There's no programming in it unless you're over 6 minutes because if you push the start button the second time, it'll add 30 seconds.
Oh.
So you don't need to program it anything under 6 minutes. Anything under 7 minutes, you don't need to program. Yeah, there's no sense in over-engineering it, right?
So if it's 6:30, you just put.
You push 6 and it'll start, and then you just push the start button again, and it adds 30 seconds.
I see.
Why talk in microwave? Well, because we like to talk about microwaves. That's why. I prefer the Swanson pies over the budget pies. They're better. I like the I like the container in which this pie comes a lot better. The other pies that we got, they have like kind of a cardboard that breaks through. Do I have a degree in micrology? No. Is that the study of microwaves?
My mom asked about my legs, and I told her the truth because it's the truth. And I just don't feel good after that conversation.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to tell her the truth, like yes, I'm on medication for it. I try to look to see if there's changes every day, but I just had to be like, I don't see changes. I think it's permanent. I'm sorry.
God, you shouldn't be apologizing to her for that. But I get the way that people sometimes strongly wish things were other than they are, and they can come across as trying to impose their reality on you.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I've been thinking about what I want to wear for Vegas, and she was like, oh, I see a lot of people wearing sneakers. Do you have sneakers? I'm like, yeah, but I have sandals that are.
You cannot make small talk with her. You're gonna TE everything.
I know. But I told her, what I did tell her was good. Was that our anniversary day? I want to spend the day with you.
Cool.
And she was like, thank you. Hey, Keisha. Ooh, I like that little greenery.
Eric, how long should I microwave my socks? I'd try a different approach for drying your socks. It doesn't involve the microwave.
Dryer?
Or just, hang them up outside. Is that a Barbie doll face emoji? No, that's...
Oh, no.
Who are you
That's
talking
Mindy.
to? I don't see where it is, though.
The Keisha's thing? Is that what you're talking about here, Leo?
Oh, that thing. Yeah, that's Mindy. Yeah, it is. It is an emoji. It's a custom one that members get to use. And there's also ones with Rachel's face.
Yeah.
crackhead personality one? I don't know what you're talking about. It's good to eat food sometimes. Food's an important source of nutrition and calories. I think crying helps in necessary at times as well. Some cryings seem to work better than others, maybe. I'll fold that. Glad I did. That's a satisfying pie, you know? I think B was the one who initially said, "Why must I cry?"
Oh, B.
And then Sean said, "Because your brain is wired to misinterpret all emotions as sadness." Probably incorrect. Then Acacia said, "I think Mindy thinks crying helps is necessary at times. I cry when my emotional reservoir is full and must be emptied." Yeah. Yeah, I often cry watching cartoons. It's so beautiful. Ah. Ah. A Corona non-alcoholic is so satisfying. So, I am planning on making a video that's, INTP versus INFP, as per Acacia's suggestion. I'm just kind of coming up with some basic format, But it needs to be like, if I were going to, well, I guess it doesn't need to be anything. It could be however long it naturally is. Either the brain not understanding different emotions is not a possibility. Well, I mean, just because B cries doesn't mean that every emotion B has is sadness. So I think what I would do is, any like an organizational structure for that. Which would basically be, I guess, could be like, start with I go like, absolute values mature, absolute values aspirational for 1, 5, and 3, 7 respectively. Um, Instrumental values that are, I guess you'd say, demonstrated. Instrumental values that are um, aspirational. Because really, that's what the 4 and 8 are. Is they're kind of aspirational in the same way that the 3 and 7 are kind of aspirational. Um, and it'd be a fine enough way to organize things. If you avoid the emotions, they show up in other ways, unhealthy ways. Well, I think that's probably true, Hero Lamb. And I think for me, that manifests as they show up like, they show up like, nice. Okay, good. They show up like self-hating talk, negative self-talk. My wife once told me emotions aren't good or bad; they are there just to feel and then let go. Well, that's true. I mean, it's true that they're not good or bad; that they're authentic responses to something in reality. That's why it's possible to say someone's feelings are always valid. Well, because it's not like people choose how to feel about things. It represents it represents a way of engaging with hierarchy of stuff in your life. What's more important, what's less important. Fine, I'll fold it. Um, but there are definitely some emotions that are more painful than others, or less pleasant to experience. I would say that jealousy is an emotion. Yeah.
I think so, but I don't know the difference between emotions and feelings.
Well, according to Dr. Ingram, emotions, feelings are the stories we tell about our emotions. Society is pretty obsessed with being happy and peaceful all the time, which ironically makes most miserable. Well, I'm not sure if. Oh, if yeah, well, I mean, if you're obsessed with being happy and peaceful all the time, then that might make you miserable. But uh, I don't know. I encounter around me mostly seems like pretty happy people, but I also stuff like the horrible reality that Dreamsy Smokes brought to my attention the other day. Oh, he fell down the stairs, been drunk, and had the doctor said he'd never walk again, but he started walking again and stuff,
Wow.
but he's like basically numb from the neck
Oh
down.
my god. Oh my god.
And of course now he's quit drinking, but he's ambulatory. He's able to work and stuff. So
That's good. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And, that whole story is brutal because it's all sourced in an instance of infidelity where his wife cheated on him and then he started drinking very heavily and drinking to forget, as he put it. Sometimes we make mistakes that have lasting consequences, lifelong consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks,
Yeah.
It's one thing for there to be mortality, it's another for there to be consequences that don't even link to, a moral failing. It's not like falling down the stairs. He, well, I mean, it's not necessarily lifelong, but sometimes they are. Like Rachel was talking about a second ago, her neuropathy, which she incurred huffing whippets, and it's permanent nerve damage. It doesn't. It might get a little bit. It gets a little bit better gradually over time, but negligibly so. It's essentially permanent. Not all consequences are lifelong, but here I am in my 50s, and in the aftermath of my dad's death, I found myself, like revisiting and feeling and hating myself for my own infidelity when I was 20, 19. I don't know how old I was, something like that, 18, 19, 20. Um, and thinking about how, that shit fucks up people's ability to trust for their entire lives, maybe to some extent. And the thing is, it wasn't, it was, it's one of those things where it's like, you, you can't, you can't be old when you're young, you know? Some people make more mistakes in their youth than others, and some people make certain kinds of mistakes and not others, etc. But I think most decent people, when they get to a certain age, are going to have an experience like mine where there's a certain reckoning and taking seriously of the harms you may have done. And it's not just the other person who potentially suffers the consequences of your wrongdoing. More significantly, in this instance, is where I'm going with this, is it's you. Here it is 30 some years later, and I am still like, I'm kind of having a realistic reckoning with the whole thing as a moral failing on my part in full, I guess, for the first time, maybe. Realizing that, why are you talking shit about people cheating? What kind of a hypocrite are you? And granted, it was 37 years ago, but still, that's my point. if you're unhappy, something must be wrong, and that makes you dissatisfied and sad. It alienates people and traps them in a fake front, mostly. Well, that's what I mean. That stuff comes up in all kinds of ways. Oh, fair enough. I don't. Fine, that's fine. I don't really want to play poker that badly anyway. No, thank you. That's all the $10 is I feel like spending on this. Thank you very much. I'm gonna rebuy. It's the real shit. Yeah, and it's like I'm not looking to fixate on the darker side of life, on the fragility of human beings and the tragedies that happen sometimes almost flippantly, because being able to appreciate when things aren't bad is pretty important, given that shit's gonna happen eventually to everybody. At some point something's gonna happen. I'm pretty happy and excited about life nowadays. I feel like I know how to play. Hebe ain't bad. What's Hebe? Heavy. Heavy ain't bad. I see. I wrote lyrics to this. I'm not sure we're going to keep them or not, but I don't really like the second stanza. The first 10 is alright. The lyrics are about, alright, I'll sing the first stanza. If I can get a little bit louder. Barbara was burning with uncertainty. She was always after something she couldn't find. Where went the safety and... I have to listen to the melody line. Where went the safety and the promise of the past, lost and gone to changing times? That's what it says. Barbara was burning with uncertainty. She was always after something she couldn't find. Where went the safety and the promise of the past? Lost and gone to changing times. It's interesting to write lyrics when you have the syllabication already in the vocal line, you know? So the melody line told me where all the syllables were going to have to fall. And then I had to make it fit that, you know? I don't normally write lyrics like that. Although it's a perfectly good way to do things. Probably the smarter way to do things, really. Complaining about our sore backs and interest rates and economy. Funniest thing is we are both 27-year-old males, and it seems like yesterday we were carefree doing wild shit together, and now we're discussing feelings and relationships and the effects of trauma. Complaining about our sore backs and interest rates and the economy. I think there's a point where it becomes pathetic, though. Like, I think manning up is a real thing. Yeah, sometimes you gotta man up, but, you know, it's like, I think what's much more of a problem is the world being brutal to people than the world coddling people. Maybe you could say in my case the problem was the world coddling me too much or something. That's fine, but I think that's the exception, the rare exception. I think by and large most people face a lot of what you'd call ontological assault. In other words, people trying to present as normative matters to other people how they should be. Like, you're not, you need to talk more, you're being too shy. Like, things like that kind of stuff, you know. People are subjected to that all the time, and I'm sure, no doubt, much, if not most of them, is there's something wrong with you. I think, by and large, the vast majority of people need more. A much greater number of people need to be told there's nothing wrong with you than need to be told man up. Although there are some who need to be told man up. We can't all be sensitive Sarahs all the time. You know. I see a lot of adults who may go like, I'm so and so and this is my title. I'm a doctor or a professor. Well, for me, manning up means dealing with procrastination, really. Like, just doing the shit that needs to be done and not humming and hawing about it forever and shit. What's up? What's your name? My name's Eric. My name is Eric, and I'm here to say rappity rap rap a rap this way. As you could probably conclude from that, I am a professional rapper. Like, often I get calls like Kendrick Lamar will be on the other line. Eric, dog. What, Kendrick? Can you help me? My show's just dead. Like, nobody's getting excited about it. I said, just put the phone up to the microphone. Oh, I'll take Kendrick. Obviously, is Drake stands no chance against Kendrick. To the extent that Drake were to stand a chance, it would be because he hired somebody else to write his raps for him. So, but if you're talking about a rap battle between Kendrick Lamar and me, I'm going to win that rap battle. For sure. I'd say, like, Kendrick Lamar, you don't rap well. Look at me. I'm very swell. Things like that. That's how I'd take both of them in a rap battle. You think you're rappers, but you're not. I'm the rapper. Hear what I got? Like that. I think if they label themselves as a professor or a doctor. Hi, my name's Eric. I'm either a professor or a doctor. It's your job to guess which. Would you like me to operate on you or teach you German? Who got an invite to hell? Oh, are you singing it in the tune of Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? Who's the one got invited to hell? Invited to hell? Invited to hell? I've known doctors and such who, in their personal life, their children, many were forced into it when young by their asshole father, for example, and set up daddy issues. I may or may not be a professor or a doctor or an airline pilot. Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm a YouTuber. You can title me YouTuber Eric. Oh, as in addition to the rap. Well, I don't want to. I don't want to be too mean in my battle raps. You know, like Kendrick Lamar. I think you're doing well. I think you'll go far, but you're still not as good as I am. That's why I call you a can of ham. Now that's the kind of insult that's okay. It's not so harsh. Yeah, being a good person doesn't require you to have any fanciness or achievements or anything. It just requires you to, you know, respect the rights of others and try to try to operate from a place of compassion and understanding rather than cruelty and beating up. Being a professor doesn't change anything. No, it's true. There are plenty of professors out there who are not such great people necessarily. Speaking of ham, would you like some spam? I've got some cooking up in this pan. I think what I'd say to Drake is just stop engaging Kendrick Lamar. If I were you, I'd just let it go. Just be like, well, I am rather predatory with sex. He has this long history of sleeping with other guys' wives as a way of getting those guys. Thanks, Rachel. It's because of my dimples. Hi, Iron Line. How's it going? Was there a moment when you graduated from the Bronze Age version of a lion, to the Iron Age version? It's like real bitch ass behavior. Well, I mean, trying to win a battle against another guy by seducing his woman, yeah, it's not good. I think I forget what his name is. DMX, maybe? There's an interview with him, he's just super heartbroken. He went to jail, and he came out of jail, and Drake had seduced his wife. But of course, it's her fault. It's like it's the woman's fault in every instance. Drake's not the one technically responsible for the behavior of these women who are in relationships, but nevertheless, when you're purposefully doing that as a way of getting at one half of the relationship, that's not good. That's very bad. But I'd like to feel confident. I feel confident, and I'd like to believe that you know that Drake would not be able to seduce Rachel. Well, it's not. Forgiving myself is one thing, but the problem with that whole line of stuff is that while I'm very critical of cheating, it's hard for me to, it's like it's hard for me to just wholeheartedly condemn cheaters because I did it myself. Well, sure, it was a long time ago, but the reason it's such a bad thing is because it has very lasting impacts on people. Yeah, it's like if I was gonna get into say a fist fight with a guy, right, and then he's like, I just want to hurt you, Eric, but you and I are pretty evenly matched. So he just runs past me and starts beating up Rachel. I mean, like, what kind of a piss ass move is that? Well, Drake wouldn't have been the one who was cheating, right? He would have been the one who was single, so he people wouldn't be able to accuse him of being a cheater per se. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you here, Alan. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's also the case though that he's technically not cheating, right? If he's not in a relationship. But anyway, I don't know why anyone would be seduced by Drake because he doesn't have any talent. Like, what could possibly be appealing about that guy? He's this untalented, kind of like manu- manufactured music industry success guy.
Looks like that guy who sings the song. You're beautiful. He apparently used that song to get a bunch of ladies. Even
Yeah.
though it's clearly not about them.
Well, I guess, it is like idiotic things. I took this from the beginning and put it on.
We send it out to Carl Ravitch.
Rick's like a battered housewife. Is he? At this point, it's like he needs to stop thinking he can battle with anybody because he's not even really a rapper. He's just a he's just like a body and a face that he's just trying to use his intuition about what's cool right now to co-opt that into improving his own career. He does seem to have his finger on the pulse, or has had his finger on the pulse historically. He'll invite to be part of his team performers the next hot person, right? Like he had Kendrick Lamar on his bill when Kendrick Lamar was still not that big, well known. So I don't know. Obviously, these music industry people, in my opinion, a lot of them, maybe most of them, they don't have a healthy relationship with sex. Would I be able to beat a horse-sized duck in a fight? Yes. And here's how. I would bring a loaf of bread with me. I'd throw the bread on the ground, and when the duck is distracted pecking it up, I'd hit it over the head with a hatchet. Has anyone here tried out for next hot person? No. What is that? Is it a show where people compete to see who's hotter? I go back and forth between hot and cool. I'm always cool, but sometimes I'm also hot. Hot in the sense that Paris Hilton means it when she invented the expression, that's hot. It's what? Oh, yeah, well, he was it back then. Now he's no longer next hot person. I don't mean hot like that. I mean like buzz, a lot of buzz on him. Filled with buzz like a bundle of bees. I'm so glad the Athletics won today.
Me too.
We once again gave up the lead. They tied it up, but this time, when we took the lead again, this time Mason Miller was able to get the save. Last night he blew that save. Paris Hilton was cute. I mean, really? Think so? If I were gonna say either of them were cute, I would say back when they were doing that show at the farm, Nicole Richie was kind of cute, but then she got all like anorexic. You know.
Still is. Yeah.
Worst city to name your child after? Dubuque. Mogadishu. Fallujah. Or Maybe Walla Walla.
Walla Walla?
Chernobyl. There's a good one,
Chernobyl.
Acacia. That's a good call with Chernobyl. I think Chernobyl might be the winner. 3 Mile Island?
Isn't there that city or that town where you like travel to Nevada that's like XYZ?
Oh, that's a road.
Oh, it's just a road.
Yeah.
Well, if I were to name my something after a road.
Yeah, Zizek's Road would be fun.
Yeah.
Chernobyl. Everyone's fond of Chernobyl. I think you picked a winner here, Acacia. I want you to name your first daughter Chernobyl. You better hurry up and get pregnant, you know. Biological clock is ticking. You know, I think like you wouldn't want to name your kid Mexico City, for example. Mexico City Strauss. That'd be a weird name. Oh, Shohei opens the game off with his 18th home run of the season.
Wow, really?
411 feet. Yes, I know everybody, this game's almost over. I'm just starting from the beginning, so don't tell me what happens. Frankfurt. Frankfurt's a pretty good name, I'd say. What about St. Petersburg? Then you have high aspirations for your kid. Or Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City. That's a Frankfurter. Here I am. The hot dog is a Frankfurter. Arlington is a pretty good name. How about Minneapolis St. Paul? Fuck it. You don't name your kid Fuck it, Acacia. You also shouldn't name your kid Bucket. Because people are just going to say your name rhymes with fuck. Swastika is not a city, Sean. Swastika is a bad name for a child, but it's not a city. I mean, you might as well just name your kid Genocide. Oh, there's a city in Ontario called Swastika? I don't think so. Is it really? There is a place called Intercourse. There's Christmas, Indiana. But what do you think about Genocide for a name for a kid, for a baby? This baby just just smells strongly of genocide. I'm gonna name him Genocide. Genocide Holocaust. Genocide. Yeah, you can name him Genocide. If your last name was Side, you don't want to name your kid Gino. But you know, it's like Amy Schumer, when her kid was first born, and in my opinion, this is the kid's real name, named him Gene Attell, which is basically genital. Then she realized that and she changed his middle name or something. Oh, Lake Titicaca is a city. It is. The city that's nearest the lake should be called Lake Titicaca City. If you're going to name your kid after a city, why not after a lake? Or why don't name your kid, so for example, the Mediterranean Sea? That's a good name for a boy or a girl, really. I knew some kid, last name Cox, and his parents named him Chase. That's abuse. Wow. You know, I had a student whose name was Richard Dong. I'm sure the parents didn't realize that when they named him Chase Cox. I mean, if your last name is Cox, you got. Don't name your kid Holden. Don't name it. Don't name it Chase. Don't name it Sucking On some. Sucking On some. I don't know how you don't realize that here I am. Don't name your kid I'm loving these. Chased Rooster. But I had a student named Richard Dong. You know, his last name was Dong because he was Chinese. And his parents named him Richard. So his name was Dick Dong. And his middle name was Penis. I've got that. I've got a tiny. It would have to be some tiny because it's plural. I've got some real city names from Grok. Ball Play, Alabama is a place. Ball Play? Ball Play is a good middle name, I think. Chubbs McDick? Whose last name is McDick? Landon Knack. That's kind of a cool name. Landon Knack.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of "and" in it, but that's fine. There's a Seaman, Texas. Who wants to live in Seaman, Texas? The Athletics had Richard Lovelady. And in California, there was a politician named Dick Mountjoy. Smut Eye, Alabama. Also French Lick, Indiana, where what's his name is from? Larry Bird. That's who. Dick Shit Titty Caca.
Wait, who said
That's a bad name.
that?
You don't want to name your kid Dick Shit Titty Caca. First of all, because you don't want the first name's last T to interfere with the second name's first T.
That's good TI.
I think Gaper is probably a bad first name for a girl.
Gaper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's name her Gaper. Gaper Booth. Gaper Booth Strauss. Gaper Booth is a good name for a character in something that really kind of rolls off the tongue.
Gaper Booth?
Yeah.
It is, but would it be an adult cartoon?
No, I'm saying a character in a story of some kind.
Oh.
No, there would be nobody would notice that the name was unusual. Everybody in the story would just. Have you talked to Gaber about it? Nah. And then somebody else comes up, Miss Boof, Miss Boof. Please, call me Gaper. Uh-oh. See you later. Home run, New York Mets. Pete Alonso hits his 10th home run. Fortunately, I don't super care about the Dodgers. I super care about the Athletics, which is much, much harder thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
We had lost 11 games in a row before we won today. 11 games in a row. But you know what? I have not lost faith in this team. I still believe in it. And it's probably, but not exclusively, because I believe in Crystal Light. Dildo Newfoundland. What's that word again? That's the vagina spreading thing? Specula or something?
For like when they're at the.
Yeah, is that thing called?
Yeah, it is like a specula, something like that.
Please, call me Gaper. Mr. Booth was my father. Speculum. Yes. Gaper speculum. Booth. Or if you wanted to make it plural, more of a girl sounding name, you could call her Gaper Specula. That's plural for speculum. Gaper Specula Grundle Booth. But you know, as a nickname, you could call her Gapey. Sploosh splash party, there's got to be a twist. Sploosh. Is this a trap? Or you think you think Bukaki should be in the name as well? Gabriel Bukaki. Gabriel Bukaki sounds like a regular name almost, you know. You can imagine there being a famous person named Gabriel Bukaki. Who's that lady?
His wife, I guess. They just had a baby.
Oh, that baseball player's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Lindor's wife. Don't bury your bottle to bubble.
Oh.
Bubbles is the hole. On our bubble cards.
And the bubble guys?
Yeah. Yeah, people, bubble cards. Tiffany, that's called a bassinet. Exactly. Bubble cards.
Why so much on the wife and the baby?
Because they think that people want this in their baseball game for some reason.
Mm.
Do people want this in their baseball game? I don't think so. I don't want it in my baseball game. Just like I don't want porn on YouTube.
Thank you.
Nor do I want human interest interviews during my baseball game. Just let things have their own space. You know? I don't want to go watch interviews of World War II veterans on Pornhub. Concurrently, I don't want to see Katie Lindor when I'm trying to watch a baseball game and she's got a baby. How is she going to hit with a baby in her arms? I challenge her to either hit or pitch while holding that baby. Maybe she could feel. I wish Capio would just go in the cat door.
Yeah.
It's like these cats are. Capio is made troublesome by trouble. That's how much trouble is troublesome. His troublesomeness is contagious. Because he doesn't let her comfortably, safely come in through the cat door. Now she has to scratch at the front door. I can't yell at her to go in the cat door because I get it. She's subject to trouble's violent ways. Superdeterminism is the answer to the measurement problem of quantum mechanics. I don't think quantum mechanics has a measurement problem, per se. It's merely an understanding of physics that incorporates the impacts of the measurement. But feel free to explain more if you'd like. Superdeterminism. I mean, anything determinist is bullshit for reasons I've articulated before. I've never heard the term superdeterminism before, but people who think there's some answers to be found in determinism don't get argumentation. They don't understand what they're trying to do. Yeah. So there's the reason that here's why we can definitively eliminate determinism as a realistic thing to consider. The burden lies on determinists to present a hypothetical universe in which time is linear and moves forward, but in which free will does exist. Because if you're simply saying it's definitionally necessary that we eliminate the idea of free will, well, unfortunately, we have plenty of examples of how we utilize the idea of free will. For example, people are liable for their actions. They can incur civil or criminal liability. And we also note that there are unintentional things. So, if it's unintentional, it's civil liability. It's possible for people to accidentally incur liability. So we do know that there's a difference between purposefulness and non-purposefulness. We also know that we can differentiate between differing degrees of freedom with which we do something. Right now, I'm doing what I freely choose to do entirely because there's no externalities pressuring me to do something else. If I'm doing a typing session, somebody paid me, so now I have to do that work for them. It's less free in the moment, but it's still a free choice that has just implications beyond the initial decision, right? So, and then lastly, if I were in jail, then my will would be severely limited in my freedom because I'd have externalities constraining that, the scope of my will, the scope of efficacy that I can affect, So, accordingly, the burden is on. Additionally, it's the case that if we were to imagine what would it look like if we did have free will, well, we'd have to have conditionality, but keeping in mind with a single directionality of time, right? So you can't require a free will that one be able to go back in time, undo it, and do something different. No, not particularly. Hi, Eric. Hi, Archer. Like, how do we get from superpositions to a single definite reality, and superdeterminism posits we don't violate locality and realism in Bell's theorem? I mean, superpositions are misunderstood by people. A superposition is not a state of being in which something both has gone left and has gone right. Instead, a superposition is something where a thing has not that until we measure it, it's it could go either way. So that we can try to replicate the same exact thing, right? Measure it in one way and it turned out to be this thing. Measure it in another way and it turned out to be the other thing. And it should be replicable, right? Well, the point to remember is just that superposition is not a state in which both things have occurred. It's a state in which neither has occurred yet. And accordingly, what we're really measuring there with superposition is our own inability to determine prior to the measurement which of two expressions a thing has. So people think that superposition means it's both gone left and right. That's not the case. Hi, money. So the bottom line is the problem that determinism faces is fundamentally a definitional problem. Because free will isn't so much an assumption that we begin with as it's necessitated by the realities that we exist with. So it's like, who ate my cookies? Jody did. But I told you guys, Jody was there too. Don't eat my cookies. So we try to eliminate the possibility that it was an accident. If it were predetermined, then nobody could be responsible for expectations of others. No, free will is just it's a philosophical concept, right? It says that, but that's what I'm trying to get at here is it's something that one can infer from the fact that people have liabilities. That I can be presented with expectations and I can either meet or fail to meet those expectations, and that I can indicate that I intend to or do not intend to meet those expectations. All of those things are, we can infer from all of those things that there's free will, because if it's already predetermined what's going to happen, then my making any effort to establish a commonality of expectations with another person is just an exercise in futility, Who Free Willy is not the same people who let the dogs out. A lot of people are surprised by this, but it's actually the cats who let the dogs out. Simulation within parameters. Look, I mean, all of those things are fine, right? But you have to remember where the burden lies. So because we can articulate all the different things I've said about varying degrees of freedom, and because we can articulate all the things I've said about liabilities, then the burden would be on those who would try to argue that it's something other than what it appears to be. And more importantly, if they don't have an example of what free will would look like in an equivalently structured universe in terms of physics, then they're not drawing any kind of real distinction, and accordingly, they're not making any point. No, the burden argumentationally lies with either the affirmation or the negation, right? It lies with the aff, but in certain circumstances, there's a burden. You could frame things as the neg having a burden to disrupt some existing status quo, but generally speaking, the affirmation is the point that's trying to change the status quo. In the status quo, we operate as though people have free will, as though they are responsible for their actions, etc. I've also already articulated the varying ways in which we can distinguish between actions that we take freely and actions we take under compulsion, right? So there's lots of things in the status quo that make that the status quo understanding, because that's what it appears to be. So if you are negating that, well, you're actually affirming to change the status quo. And accordingly, the burden lies on you to withstand the scrutiny and to sustain your affirmation against interested disagreement. I believe, says DMob17, I believe consensual intercourse between humans and aliens will be a beautiful thing and not something to shame. Well, DMob17, do you also feel that way about other species on Earth? Well, it's true, Uranus is a planet that we can't always definitively determine who's changing the status quo. So there's a secondary approach we can take, which is who's offering to explain something, and do they meet the burden to explain? So free will is not an explanation of anything per se. It's the inference, like I said, of how we behave. We behave as though people have free will. Accordingly, we can conclude that it would be a weird thing to try to affirm that people have free will, because in the status quo, we do in fact hold other people responsible for their actions as though they could make choices, and we do in fact distinguish between instances where they purposefully do something and where they accidentally do something. Okay, well, that's the beautiful thing about free will, is it doesn't require an argument, right? You behave as though you have free will, regardless of whether you affirm it or believe in it. And you treat others as though they do as well. If somebody walks up to you and you're in line at McDonald's and they shove you out of the way and say, "Get out of my way, I'm in line here," you don't go, "Well, all that was predetermined, so there's no reason to respond in any way. Including this response is all predetermined. I can't impact any change." I get a TI breakdown of this statement. Structure distinguishes itself in the presence of destruction, whereby it persists from its own reification. What? Um, I mean, to say structure distinguishes itself is already a reification. And to say that it persists when it's only when it's reified is incorrect because it's like you don't have to believe that stop signs make you stop with their urgent willing of you to stop in order to stop for stop signs. Right? It makes no sense at all. No, TI is not about making sense. It's about negating that which doesn't. So TI is the security point you have to get through in order to legitimately begin TEing. Like, you might one day be walking by my house and note that the rain gutter on the back of my house is broken loose in one spot, and when it rains, all the water comes pouring out and it needs to be fixed. But before you can come use your tools and figure out how to fix that and repair that so it doesn't bother you to look at it anymore, you're going to need to pass the TI security point, which says, this is my house, my property. You can't just come over here out of nowhere, some stranger, and start working on my house, you know, because it's not legitimate. TI is about legitimacy, validity, correctness. It's not about utility, you know? And accordingly, when I explain things, well, this is what this means cognitive function wise. I'm spending a lot of time saying, like, look, the reason it is this way is because it is this way. And somebody says, so what are we supposed to do with that? The answer is just be correct, right? It's not, oh, well, you can use it like this or use it like that. It's an explanation. Do you want to understand why and how things are correctly or not? TI is evil. No, TE is neither TI nor FI are evil. They're both slowing down functions, and that's a good thing. You know, deliberation prevents one from making mistakes. Human, how are you? Long time no see. Hello, human. I am fine. How are you? I am doing well. We're watching a little baseball. We're doing a little live streaming. I'm pulling some bong rips. Um, Tomorrow, Rachel's going to do what you might call spring wardrobing.
That's a plan.
What her plan is. There's no such thing as coincidences. Follow the breadcrumbs long enough, a blade of grass makes sense. Well, I mean, there's a difference between understanding something and knowing something. And there's a difference between deliberating a status and understanding something holistically, you know? Let's determine if this painful experience of being burned alive is a legitimate threat before I douse myself in water. Right. Well, that would be an instance where TI wouldn't come in much handy. That's true. Or, you know, some TI person, there's this sign that says, like, please stay on this side of the line while the subway is in motion. And the subway is crashing, and they're like, can I cross the line? Is it still in motion? Do I have to wait till it stops crashing? you know, obviously at that point you ignore the sign and the line, and you just do what helps you stay alive. So the thing is, it it can be frustrating and ridiculous. TI can be when it's applied in the wrong moments in the wrong ways. It can be an inability to pull the trigger when necessary, right? But it's also a necessary defense against people who know what they want and how to get what they want. TI and FI both help defend against the, this being everybody being steamrolled by people who know what they want and how to get it and don't care about whether that's legitimate. Authenticity is a hell of a place to live. Enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up, everybody. Well, thanks, Uranus as a planet. I I don't know how many people actually live in a place of inauthenticity. It's an interesting question. Like, can people genuinely be inauthentic over the long haul?
I mean, Hollywood.
Yeah, I guess in Hollywood. Like that guy, Justin Baldoni is such a fake guy. He's a big phony, I say. What would a perfect world be like? I mean, there's no perfect world per se, but ideally you'd have a world that had minimized instances of injustice as much as possible, and where we shared and respected um, the correct understanding of rights, but where additionally people weren't ideologues about it. The best world is a world run by principled people who could be pragmatic. I mean, like governed by principled people who could be pragmatic, and then thrived in by people who were pragmatic, but ideally constrained by some principles. Right? You want to have the principled people governing, and you want the habits and institutions of your free and civil society to follow from the TI people. And when that happens, then the TE people can thrive in that legitimate framework.
I don't think that Ryan Reynolds is authentic. I think he perceives to be a nice guy, but is actually a huge dick.
Who said Ryan Reynolds is authentic?
I don't think anyone did, actually. Especially now.
But Justin Baldoni, he when you hear that audio of him, hey, I actually want to start with an apology. He just sounds like such a big phony. In some ways, you sympathize with Jordan Peterson. I sympathize somewhat with Jordan Peterson as well, because as I've said before, he was never fit for the role people were trying to have him fill. you know. And he tried to fill that role to some extent, and he just, you know, he was just stuck with warning track power, intellectually.
I think he liked it. I think he is like, I think he was like, people saw how smart I was and intelligent I was in the classroom. Now, like now my message is getting, is like.
No, I think so too. I think there was some heady moments for him where he was really like, hey, you know, I'm leading an intellectual revolution of some sort. The thing is, it, the fact that he thought that wasn't the problem, right? It was the fact that he wasn't capable of actually doing that because he's not that robust and intellectual. If I were embraced in that fashion as a thinker, I would also like it a lot, probably. But it wouldn't be indicative of me getting too big of a head because this isn't, you know, being correct is not it doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter what my inflated opinion or non-inflated opinion of my own correctness is all, you know, all that is completely irrelevant to actually being correct. He's not malicious. No. He's a well-intentioned guy who can't be anything but an NI tool user. You know? And accordingly, NI is great for knowing things, but it's not good for explaining things. And he's trying to explain what he actually only knows and does not understand. Why is Africa poor, Eric? Wasteful spending on on you know, lavish weddings and stuff. Is that why? I don't know. You tell me. Why is Africa poor? Not all of Africa is poor. Africa is not a country, you know, it's a continent. Accordingly, you can only ever get continental breakfasts there. I mean, the problem I have with Jordan Peterson is twofold. Number one, he's wrong about personality stuff. And actually, three things. Number two, he purports to be an evolutionary psychologist. And number three, he's just playing boogeyman. It's just a fancier sounding version of it. Instead of calling he calls them postmodernists. America should be its own planet, Samba. All right? Planet America. You other continents can find another planet. Evolutionary psychology is extremely retarded in that that's all it does is retro justify things. I had not heard that term before, but
I'm sorry.
it's like everything is the way it is because it was advantageous to hunter gatherers. You know, if oh God, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And of course, if you're using evolutionary psychology, I guess you don't have to even be species specific, right? Well, lobsters act like this, and they do so for evolutionary reasons. And accordingly, humans do what they do for evolutionary reasons. Ergo, human sexual behaviors are basically the same as lobsters. And it's all because we have a drive to compete for mates. As many mates as possible. Evolution. You know what I say about evolution, right? Evolution, schmevolution. You 2 days off IV meth use? Why are you awake? You should be crashed out and or eating. Those are the only two things you should be doing right now, is sleeping and eating. If you were truly shooting up meth as of 2 days ago. I have a map. Let's see areas in the terrain where this map applies. No, that's definitely the right map. There's a mountain right there, a mountain right here. See? Yeah, but where's that lake? Yeah, don't pay attention to that part of the map. That part of the map, we're not looking at that part of the map right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Strauss.
I find intellectual stuff more rewarding than sex in the long run, even though I am an ESFP. Well, I don't think sex is supposed to be rewarding, right? like, I mean, it's supposed to be a way to bond with somebody else and or a way to make babies. But the reward of sex is actually a baby. That's the reward. But most people don't really want that reward. Most of the time they have sex, they don't want the reward. I've not heard anyone propose that America be made a continent. Is there a benefit attached to giving us that continent status? Same kind of benefit that is attached to calling the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. So anyway, yeah, the nature rewards sex with a baby. But in our existing world, most people don't think of a baby as that great of a reward to get. Like getting a puppy for Christmas. Oh, you got me a puppy. I, yeah, I got you a present too, but it wasn't a 20-year long commitment. You hear sex feels good? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe the elbow is the wrong thing to poke. It always leaves me bruised and confused. I am currently eating, was about to die again, and it's just a sec. After court in 5 days, you think I'm clean for a piss test? I mean, yeah, if you stay kicked for the duration of that 5 days, you should be out of your system. It doesn't last very long in your system compared to some other drugs. Oh, that's not a new thing. That was from like a couple of weeks ago that he renamed the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America. Maybe a month ago or something. I don't know. Of course, if you tell me you're going to go fishing in the Gulf of America, I'll just say, you mean the Gulf of Mexico? Because obviously, it's, Trump just doesn't get to decree that, like, from now on, we're calling this, that, and this other thing. Oh, no. The continent thing is just a joke. Gulf of America. Eating freedom fries in the Gulf of America. How dumb is that? You know, COVID is a lot like your feelings, Ruben. You just need to sit with them. Just let them be. Just feel them. Okay? Because I'm that guy that was slamming grams and also rock on, man, stay dangerous. Yeah, I know all about that slamming grams, but I never shot it myself, but I used to do quite a bit of meth. I smoked it, snorted it, parachuted it, boofed it, had mental telepathy with it, but I never shot it. Yes, remember that Beatles song, Ruben? You've just got to. Good Day Sunshine. Remember that one? I think Paul McCartney had a lesson for you there. I don't know what ROA is. It's a different world than any other ROA. Not like a Rome Owners Association? That Scooby-Doo's Homeowners Association? United States inhabitants should be named statients. Fluorescent pubescent. Are you guys doing backwards Inky Pinkies? Oh, Ruben got it. I see. That's pretty good, Ruben. But no, that's not the right answer. Glow teas. Fluorescent. Glow teas. Luminescent. Luminescent.
Iridescent.
Oh, well, now that they're in your possession, I can't get them back, huh? No, it isn't solved. I agree. Luminous? Luminous? I don't know. I give up. I instantly give up. I found that when at first you don't succeed, immediately give up. I'm planning to have an early night of it tonight, but maybe if I could find my bug hat, maybe I could see myself pouring a bag of some concrete outside. I wonder where my bug hat is. You know what we did with those bug hats, Rachel?
I think it should be hanging up under some coats maybe or jackets to the left or to the right of the garage door.
Yeah, they're not there. I think I must have put them someplace.
Here's one. But I don't know where.
No, that's not one.
Oh, it's not.
It's a fishing hat.
Oh.
Where did I put them? That's the question. I must have put them someplace. Did I put them in the garage? Well, golly! Listen, ooh, ah, ooh, do you know where I put bug hats? Ooh, ah, ooh. Huh. Well, I don't know where they are. Who knows? I guess I should clean the cat litter box. There we go. Okay. My least favorite job. Well, I have no idea where those hats are, so whatever. Maybe I could just do it without a hat. I just put a different kind. I put like this hat on, but I keep them off of my scalp. It's the worst time of day, of course, to go outside. It seems to be right when I feel like going outside every time. Rachel, would you mind keeping these people company for a minute while I go to the bathroom?
Sure. I was just watching a video on how to cut your own curtain bangs, or this hairstylist created a course on how to cut your own bangs, and the response from her viewers wasn't good, so she changed the course on how to cut your own bangs. And I really honestly think that even if I took the course, I still would fuck it up, because I have a small forehead, and like, so like, I don't know, like, I have a 3 head.
Yeah, a small forehead is more like a 3 head.
Yeah, it is kind of like a 3 head.
It's a pun.
I know. I want to learn how to cut my own hair too. I haven't cut my hair in 2 years, and it's in deep need of one. And I wish I could just do it myself, but I do not. Ruben R says, I do not enjoy going and failing to communicate the picture I have in my head and small talk, blah blah. It's hard for the vision that you have in your head to translate. I feel like I always have to go in with pictures. Mrs. Mom says, I can't wear bangs. My hair won't behave and hang properly for bangs. Rachel, I think you look lovely with bangs. And you frame your lovely eyes. Thank you, Mrs. Mom. I do have calyx. I have 2 calyx right here. So if I were to use bangs, probably, I don't know. I don't know what it would be like, but I just wish that I could, give myself like a trim at home. That's all I really need.
Cowlicks aren't actually caused by cows licking you.
They're not?
No.
I thought it was.
Nobody's sure how cowlicks come about.
Nobody's sure how calyx come about. Mets are still winning against the Dodgers, bottom of the 7th. Do you find that, like, I have a cowlick like right here, and the hair like always wants to like go? Where did you? Oh, that's a fishing hat.
Yeah. It's the fishing hat. I don't know where those hats are, but
I'll keep an eye out for them.
yeah.
Yeah, with calyx, like, you have to like train your hair, but it usually always goes back to where you started. Here's Eric with the fishing hat on. Look at him. He looks like he's ready to do something outside.
Yeah. I tell you what, everybody, let's go just move a thing of concrete, a bag of concrete, from the car to over there in the wheelbarrow. That's all we're going to do to start off with. That's simple enough. Funny how much this hat changes the acoustics when I'm talking. And hear my voice super clearly, because obviously it's bouncing sound back to my ears. Okay. First, let me move this hose out of the way. Kind of rewind it up a bit. Be kind, rewind. All right. There's definitely a lot of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes drove me back inside. And one followed me in. Horrible bugs. Why do I always want to come outside right at the wrong time? Like recently, I used to run afoul of the high schoolers every time I went to the supermarket. But then somehow it seems like our timing changed. We didn't purposefully change times, although the worst time to go to the supermarket is, in fact, right when the high school gets out, because then you got a bunch of sweaty teenagers in there. Sweaty, loud, annoying teenagers. Not that all teenagers are sweaty, loud, and annoying, but the ones who go to the Pioneer Market after school seem to be. Don't mean to be ageist against young people, but, you know, it's not that big of a supermarket. Did we ever go on walks together? We did earlier today. We just walked around the house.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice earlier. There weren't mosquitoes out. It was a beautiful day. But I actually have some candles, some of those candles there that I found in the garage looking for the hats. But yes, this hat I believe I inherited. I either inherited this hat or it came with the house, one of the two. Because there was a tackle box that came with the house. This hat may have been with that one, or it may have been my dad's fishing hat. I don't know. I don't remember.
Can't believe that. I wish I knew where those hats were.
Right? Where could I must have put them someplace. I have this sense that I put them somewhere, but I don't know where. Say now. Say now. Alright, well, I could look. Where else could I look? Let's go look more in the bedroom. See if we could find it. I mean, I should feel fortunate that most of the day we don't have mosquitoes. Okay. Could they be in here, maybe? No. Ow! manner of witchcraft be this? I wouldn't have put them in the attic. Would I have? Why would I have put hats in the attic? Alright, well, let's look around. I do have some trash I could take out regardless of hats, you know. I need to take trash out from. Aha! Wait, I did find one of them. I found one. But I only found one of them. Where's the other one? I found one of them, Rachel.
You did? It's great. Where was it?
In the closet that I just looked in already. Okay. Now with this on, the mosquitoes can suck it. Put that inside there. Okay, now I just need some socks. Well, I guess I put on my gloves, and then there'll be no place for the mosquitoes to get. Go ahead, Trouble. Go on. All the way. All the way. He's such a tail lever.
Wait. So, alright, at least we have one.
I don't know where the other one is. I found one in the top of my closet. I would have thought I would have put them both in the same place. I'm not sure. Stop bombarding my penal colony.
I love you so much. It makes me.
Thanks, darling. I love you too. All right, now. Now we can successfully operate out of doors. Problem with this is I can't really smoke with this on, but okay. Well, mosquitoes, where are you? I thought you were coming to get me. Not so tough anymore, huh, mosquitoes? Nope, not so tough at all. Okay. Okay. I could pour some concrete. I had a spot here where there was a little hole in the dirt, and I filled it up with rocks, but then whatever creature lived in the hole pushed all of the rocks out. Sorry, mosquitoes, no dice. You can't get to me. I can hear you, but you lose. You lose the battle against humanity. I win. Mosquitoes think they're tougher than they are, you know. So frustrating, huh? You can't get in. Well, that's because I am an advanced species, and you're just a mosquito. I could pour some cement right now. All right. I don't think I'm going to do that right now because it's getting kind of dark. I'm not very amped up or anything, so I got one bag of concrete out of the car. That's good. Not every day has to be productive. Today wasn't very productive. But I napped. That was productive, actually. Sleeping is productive. Well, mosquitoes, you've been thwarted successfully. Of course, like I said, You can't really smoke with this on, so that's a bit of a problem. But it does keep the mosquitoes out. That's one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We won't have any standing water, for instance, Mom. Obviously, you don't just put water in a still pond. We have a pump. So that it'll be continually running from the top down to the bottom and then up to the top again. Plus, we'll have goldfish in, I'm thinking 2 of the pools. They're big enough. My neighbor to the north of me was an ESTJ. I received an entire lecture from him when I moved in. It was all about avoiding mosquitoes. Yes, you have to have sitting water to have mosquito larvae, actually. If it's circulating, then mosquito larvae won't form there. Additionally, if there were to be any such thing form in the one of the 2 pools that have any depth to them, then there'd be fish in there, so they'll eat those. And then come wintertime, I'm planning on putting a pond heater that keeps it up, like, above 45 or something, like 45, 50 degrees or something. The goldfish don't die. Okay, well, I do need to go outside though. This is what I'm here for. I remember. I'm getting this. Alright, so put that in here. I already have a bag in there, so it's fine. We're gonna compact that trash, and we're gonna have one of these raisins that fell in the coffee creamer. Got it? Let's go get other trashes to compact. Oh, there's one again.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can fit this one in here too. This one's pretty full. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. It's fine. We have extra trash can space because I've been compacting. Even though it's been 2 weeks, we only filled up 2 trash cans. So this one can go in uncompacted. We have 2 full trash cans with space left. We'll get this, put it in here, uncompacted, and then we'll obviously not compact the kitty litter trash. We'll put that in there uncompacted. Okay. Now we can close the garage door. Let's get some Rachel trash. Hi, Claudia Abarca. How you doing? Now this Rachel trash probably could fit it in the compactor, so let's go crazy. You live in Chile, huh? Well, congratulations. I'm compacting the shit out of that trash. I'm taking that trash to school. Here's some more trash that I found. Now let's get some replacement bags. One for me, one for Rachel, one for the bathroom, one for the kitty litter.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's Studio by L'Oreal.
You okay?
Yeah, just noticed that mouse a little late.
Oh, I was wondering what was smelling. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, he's gone now. Okay. That has a trash bag in it. Now, the bathroom and the kitty litter trash can. Thanks, Claudia. Coffee, please. You want me to make some coffee? I'd go for a cup of coffee. I got my mug right here. And I'm not going to make a fresh pot. Because there's still a fair amount left. I'll just microwave this. Okay, bathroom trash can, kitty litter trash can. Now let's go to the garage. Okay, we're done with that. Pretty exciting? Yes. Very exciting? Yes. Absolutely thrilling? Maybe. But if you thought the trash duties ended when I take out the trash, put it in the can, I replace the bag, no. I still have at least one trash can to take up to the streets. I've taken 2 of the trash cans up to the street already. 1 remains. The 4th one, I don't think we're going to need it. Here we have some coffee. Now, we're going to liberally, you guys are not even looking in the right direction. Look over here, please. This is what I'm wearing doing stuff. God, you guys are so rude. We're going to liberally apply coffee creamer. Then, once we've broken our rule and used the spoon instead of the stick like a dumbass, we might as well just double down and do another scoop. You really don't want to use a spoon to do this. Spoon's fine for scooping, obviously, but coffee creamer gets really stuck on the things. It's like second to bong resin in terms of stickiness. All right, let's have a wonderful cup of coffee. Together, you, me, and everyone can thrive. Because, you know, without you and me, you can't spell team. What do you mean there's no you in team? Well, now I do suppose we be winding things down here. But we ain't done streaming till the last of the trash is up at the street.
Oh.
What you doing?
Cleaning my shoes.
Oh, I see. Who's dead? What's this all about? Well, it is Sunday night, so I think we know what's going on, Rachel. A little last one standing.
Yay!
So, day 25, we could. Well, I'll tell you what. Day 25. So, before I end this dream, I'm going to sip some of this coffee. I'm going to take that last can up to the street. And then, I'll smoke a cigarette. Then I'll come back in and we'll settle in for some last one standing naked and afraid. And at some point during that process, I think I might hit Rachel up for a Landsy. Try to get a really good, hearty night's sleep tonight.
I think that's good.
You're not keeping a super clear log of your reasonings. I don't feel like I keep a particularly good log of my reasonings as well. I think that I have to, I think I have to reconstruct them a few times before they stick. I have to re-reason them out from the same starting spot. And then once I've done that a few times, then it sticks. Well, that's probably true. You know what I say about T.I., Ruben? T.I. Shmi-I. Who needs your fussy? Oh, that's not right. T.I., get out of here.
I like your TI.
Thanks, darling. All right, let's go have this cigarette. Then let's take that trash can to the street so I can just not think about that anymore. And then, before long, the tooth fairy will come. Yeah, I used to describe that as having, not like I remember things, I remember the nub of it. But after I've traversed that path a few different times, like you said, sometimes from different starting spots, then I may still only have like available as a tag or something the nub of it, but I have this sense that I don't have to refigure it out. It's just it's fully retained underneath the nub. Oh, this lighter's on its last legs. One of the reasons I think people, namely me, sometimes finds oneself like, I have 6 lighters, and then soon enough you have like no lighters. Where did all my lighters go? I think maybe we don't really remember very well when we throw away a lighter. This one's cached. Oh, right. I have another bag of trash in the trash compactor. Oh, I have to get that. All right, let's go get that. I'll go get that. I'll be right back. Stay here. Okay. I'll just leave the lid. Well, maybe I'll just put the lid on it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Winston's mom, you really nailed it on the head there. This could be a bumper sticker. It always seems like a good idea to keep your dead lighter around, just in case it has one last light. And you probably, as well as I, know all the little tricks you try to do to get that one last bit of flame out of it. But, you know, after you've picked it up and it's failed to light a couple of times, and you, this one's hot, just throw it away, you know. It's frustrating. All right, are you ready for the big adventure? We're going up to the street. Pickleback. All right, look at us go. We're doing it, everybody. We're finally going to succeed at this game of life. I hope they've updated the game of life so that instead of making more money when you have a college degree, you just have more debt and a sense of pointlessness. And the stink of residual pointlessness. Well, we did it. Now that had a point. There's a point to doing that. When I do that, and I come back like 24 hours later, the trash cans are empty. No one's quite sure what happens, but the trash can fairy comes to take it away, I guess. Well, I'm pretty good about taking out the trash these days. It took me a while to get so I didn't miss weeks, but now that we're on every other week, I have to make sure I take it out every time we have the trash come. Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. Love you all. See you later. Time to watch Naked and Afraid Last One Standing.